MDM4U 2.2 Indices. A price index describes the price of an item compared to a base value measured at a particular time or a particular place. So a base value is set to 100. So I think of this as a percentage. We're talking about percentage growth or percentage increase and decrease. But a common index is the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which collects thousands of price quotations from across the country to compare the prices of consumer goods and services over time. So one trend that we might notice is inflation, which refers to the general increase in prices over time. So this is an example of a consumer price index. In the y-axis, we see the axis titled CPI, Consumer Price Index, 2002 is equal to 100. So 2002 is the year, and the CPI value, 100, sets it as a baseline. So 2002, 100. Everything is being compared relative to this value. So what is the base year for the CPI? And the answer would be 2002. In what year was the cost of the basket of goods about 90% of the base cost? So if our base year represents 100%, 90% is here, and that's approximately this point. Now let's take a look at our X scale. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Our X scale is one line represents 1 year. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 1997. If a bag of milk cost $3.69 in 2002, then what would it be? What would be the approximate price of milk in 1997? So if we know that the CPI mark is 90 for that year, that means that it's going to be 90% of the price in the base year. Because this was the price in 2002, this is an adjustment so that it's 90% of that amount. So anytime we need the percentage of a number, we multiply by the decimal equivalent, or take the percent divided by 100 to get the decimal form. And it looks like it would be $3.32 during that year. Reading a CPI table. The table compares the price of clothes in New York City to others around the world. So here's our index listed as a table. Notice that New York is set to be 100, so therefore it is our base value. We're comparing markets compared to New York City. If a t-shirt costs $34.99 in US dollars in New York, then what would it cost in Hong Kong? So we look at the index for Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, the CPI is 75. So 75 as a decimal, or 75% as a decimal, is 0.75 times that price, and therefore we would be paying $26.24 for that item. And that makes sense with a large manufacturing industry, that particular service or good would be less. If a shirt costs $54.99 in US dollars in Oslo, then what would it cost in New York? So what we were saying is, in our last example, was this is the price in New York. What is the price elsewhere? Here we're saying that this is the price in Oslo. So looking at Oslo and New York, if this is the price in Oslo, we multiplied by the factor 1.144, because this is 114.4% as a decimal. That number was multiplied by some price to get $54.99. That's the same logic, just in the form of an equation. So then we isolate our variable by doing the opposite operation, divide each side by 1.144, and then we get that that would cost $48.07 $40.07 in US dollars. Now, if we wanted to calculate the average rate of change between two instances, remember that we can use the point slope form where y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 gives us the slope. But remember that our first point on the graph, if you can easily identify it, is x1, y1. Those subscripts just represent which point it is you're talking about, and the point 1 should be on the left-hand side. The point on the right-hand side would be x2, y2.